Scott.
Hey, Andy.
I know we said we weren't going to do a podcast this week, so...
I know.
Technically, we're not.
We're not.
This isn't a podcast. What is this, Scott?
This is Christmas.
This is Christmas. Sorry, John Lennon's corpse. Do we have to pay him?
I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway, what this is we are going to be unboxing my game of the year, Thimbleweed Park. Scott, you don't know really anything about this, do you?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay. So Thimbleweed Park is essentially the spiritual successor to Day of the Tentacle, which was a follow-up to Maniac Mansion.
Right.
Maniac Mansion was a Lucasfilm game made in, I believe, 1987. It was put together by Ron Gilbert and Gary Winnick. Additionally, they brought on Dave Fox to do coding. Mm-hmm. Similar story here, actually. Very funny. The original crew got together along with two new writers. This is just a fantastic game that I am super, super happy to have found after the Kickstarter, unfortunately. So I didn't get in on that. But since finding it, this is a shirt for a con in a game. I am wearing a 1987 Thimbleweed or ThimbleCon shirt, which is a convention that's in the game. So that's fun. Yes.
By the way, just to prove that I've been listening to you in the podcast, this is a point-and-click adventure.
This is a point-and-click adventure, and if you don't know what a point-and-click adventure is, I feel so bad for you. But if you do,
but just in case someone out there doesn't know what a point-and-click.
So, back in the late 80s and early 90s, particularly the late 80s for this, actually mid to late 80s, there were a lot of adventure games that were sort of extensions of text adventures. So if you remember Zork, mm-hmm. right? Or Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Or in my day,
mm-hmm.
Hammurabi.
Or Transylvania was one on the Apple II.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Adventures in Tone Town? No, Task Times in Tone Town. Whoa, that was
wow.
Had to dig deep for that one. But these were adventure games that were verb-based. You mm-hmm. would type in an action word and then something else. Usually you could only do 2 words. So it would be like, look well, or go north, or never watch north. That's 3, but it doesn't work, but it still applies. Never watch north. Terrible. So Ron Gilbert had been playing King's Quest, I believe, mm-hmm. Over a Christmas holiday with his nephew, if I remember the story right. And his biggest frustration with the game, aside from you had to die to solve most puzzles, at least once, was that you had to sort of read the developer's mind. You had to think, okay, what do they call a bush? Is it a bush? Is it a shrub? Is it a plant? What do they call, what do they call this key? Key is a key. Yeah. Unless you're playing Zelda, a key is a key. If you're playing Zelda, keys are bats, which is weird. Japan. So basically, they just decided, hey, let's make a new game engine for a new game, and let's take out that element of guessing at what the developer thinks you might do in a room by creating. They essentially created a grid of verbs. And I think it was 12 to begin with. It was really big in the beginning. So you had things like walk to, look at, pick up, give, push, pull, use, all of these verbs. Mm-hmm. And you would construct everything with clickable points on the screen.
Oh.
So instead of I walk into a room and Scott stands there and looms over me and probably is angry because I killed his dog. I didn't. He did. We just ate it together.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't eat a dog. Mostly. So, we didn't finish a dog.
Right.
So,
finish the dog.
So, I would walk into a room and instead of trying to guess, take Scott's glasses or something like that, I would just click on pick up and then click on items and now I have a new phone. And that's cool.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, it's great. And it works perfectly well. So, I highly recommend going and checking out some classic point-and-click adventures. There are tons on GOG.com. That's probably the best place to get them. Additionally, you can download ScumVM and find your own, or if you find old discs, in storage somewhere. I have a bunch of old CDs that I can still play on my modern computer using ScumVM. ScumVM is a fan-made host, essentially, emulator
virtual machine.
It's a virtual machine specifically for these types of games. So Scum, what's Scum? Because I haven't said anything about it yet, and that doesn't make any sense. Scum is script creation utility for Maniac Mansion. Back when they first coded the grandfather, 2 generations, grandfather of this one, they were coding on a Commodore 64. Now, there are 2 ways to code really on a Commodore 64. Well, no, there's more than 2. They have a bunch of interpreters, but
you can code or you cannot code. Those are the 2 options.
A lot of people used BASIC, which came pre-installed on the Commodore 64. But you could also use the MOS 6502 assembly language. And 6502 assembly, of course, was much faster. You got full access to graphic subsystems that weren't included with General BASIC. I think Ron Gilbert, well, if lore is to be believed in this game, Ron Gilbert created Graphics BASIC, which is an extension of BASIC for the C64 that allowed people to do more graphical stuff and access sprites and whatnot. But for the most part, the heavy lifting was done in assembly, in 6502 assembly. So what Ron Gilbert did is he created a script creation utility for Maniac Mansion, Scum.
Oh, okay.
So if they were agile, they would have probably done it in a Scrum. No, cut that one out. The script creation utility allowed people who were designers, people who were artistic, people who weren't developers, to quickly create scenarios and cutscenes and all that sort of thing for these point-and-click adventure games. And it really, really changed the landscape. Because now you could have... I mean, Maniac Mansion might have been the first game on the Commodore with a cutscene, with like a legitimate cutscene where characters from the game interacted not as just images. It wasn't just a bitmap that got thrown up. They were talking to each other. They were doing things. They were animated on screen. And it was brilliant because the script creation language was very simple to develop in. It was very complex under the hood, but it was very simple to develop in. And so it was a brilliant way to sort of speed up game design. Because design's really where game making is all about. Coding is coding. You either do it or you don't. Everybody who started coding that I ever met started because they wanted to make games. Well, turns out coding, if you go into the game industry to be a coder, you're not making games.
No.
You are taking requirements and translating them to the machine. That's all you're doing. So back in the day, of course, they were doing everything. So you had these 3 people cobbling all this together. They ported it to a number of systems. They ported it to PC. They ported it to when the Amiga came out, it got its own version. They did an enhanced version. The Amiga, of course, was the successor to the Commodore 64. Had a bunch of custom chips that had people's names, and I one day want to make a story that has those names. I think it'd be really funny. So that brings us to today. Last year, a Kickstarter happened to fund Thimbleweed Park, which is Maniac Mansion meets Twin Peaks meets X-Files. Right? Fantastic game. I fell in love with it and found out that on Fangamer you could buy a bunch of swag, including a boxed edition, which we don't see anymore.
No.
So, without much... before we get into it, a little further ado, I did want to show off... This is unrelated to the boxing, but I thought you guys might appreciate this. So last night, Aaron was lamenting that there aren't any custom controllers for the PS4, or the ones that they have are pretty garbage. So we decided to make one. What is the name of the person on YouTube?
Christine from Simply Nailogical.
So Christine from Simply Nailogical. Aaron is in love with this show. She is not a professional nail scientist. I don't know what nailologists? Nail tech. Let's go with nail tech. She's not a professional nail tech. She just does it as a hobby. But she's big time into this stuff called Holo, which is a holographic glitter that you set using a gel top coat and UV light. and it gives this smooth, beautiful, shiny rainbow effect. And last night we took apart a controller and made a hollow controller. So I thought that was pretty damn cool, and I thought you guys might enjoy taking a look at it. So this is a custom controller that Aaron made, sitting on the floor, getting glitter everywhere. It was fantastic.
It's like an iridescent beetle.
It's like an iridescent
stumbled
beetle
into a glitter factory
that you can play video games with.
And then went, I'm so pretty, I'm so pretty and witty and...
Bright?
Bright.
Cool. All right, so without further ado, let's get to opening this sucker.
What? That's made of paper and plastic. We'll ruin it.
I see you read Ray Bradbury.
I do. Did. Yes, knife.
Better? Okay, all right. First thing I want to talk about before we even get started.
We'll Becerra it open.
We'll Becerra the hell out of this. This thing has an old school PC sticker on the front that tells you the specs. Now, back when we were buying PC games back in the day, you'd usually see, oh, this is 16 color mode, or this is CGA, or this is 256 VGA color mode, like my very first copy of Monkey Island 2, which is the very first computer game I ever bought on my own. With my own monies.
Or does not run on Vista.
Does not. Oh. You'll see this runs on PC, Mac, and Linux. It's beautiful. It's got 16,777,216 color version. Fantastic. It's fantastic. So once I get the plastic off and it's a little less shiny, we'll take a quick tour of the box. I have not opened one of these before. I will likely buy another one to remain sealed. Additionally, which we may give away after this before we go live, there is a GOG code for the game that you can't see. It's on the other side of here, and if I've caught it, I'm going to blur it out. But you can essentially get without opening the box, if you buy the physical copy, you can get the digital download, which I think is fantastic.
That is very cool.
All right, so a quick tour of the box. This is the same size as most big box games from the early 90s. Mm-hmm. Very sturdy, very awesome cardboard. Makes me really want to talk to Fangamer for our stuff, Journey Quest and whatnot, because I think we could do some very cool things. Simple sides. You get a couple of clues to what's going on. This is the startup screen that they've kind of put across here. On the back, screenshots.
Yeah.
So I love screenshots of games on the back of the box. We have a list of key features. This is funny. The list of key features has been problematic for Lucasfilm games since the very beginning. In fact, it got them pulled out of, I want to say, Toys R Us because they had lust on the box, and someone complained about the word lust. Not a person who bought the game.
No.
This was a person who just came in and complained. So yeah, and you've got these really cool little, just like I said, it's really well done in terms of feeling like an old school.
Now, before you open it, I just want to ask, you're talking about there's some hints and such along the box. Not
hints, but kind of, okay, so without spoiling too much, this flyer here that comes in, if you play so cool thing about Lucasfilm Adventures, they offer an easy mode and a hard mode.
Good.
I think they call it experienced and inexperienced or something like that. So this particular piece right here shows up in the hard mode. They cut out a few puzzles, but most of the ones that are on the box are actually from hard mode. So this radio tower comes into play. This can of tuna is, I think, a reference to Maniac Mansion. One of the very first lines, Dave, who is the protagonist of Maniac Mansion, says to Bernard, he might say it to other people too. I always played Bernard. Bernard shows up again, of course, in Day of the Tentacles, so love that guy. But he calls him a tuna head because they couldn't say shit. So there's a balloon, which alludes to another character in the game that shows up.
Okay, so my question is, once you've played the game, and then you look at the box,
yes,
you get nostalgic.
But
for me, who's not played the game, and I look at the box, I just go, oh, which I noticed.
Right.
Oh, that's a radio tower.
Yep.
Or that's a balloon.
Yep. It's a very, very well done box. Very thick, great art. So that's super, super exciting.
Here,
all right.
I'll do this.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Let me put this knife away.
Please.
So we're unbeceraing the work area. There's an Areno sticker. This is fantastic. Not giving anything away. This is you'll find this one out pretty quickly into the game.
In 8-bit gradient.
8-bit gradient. It's a bad ombre. I mean, legitimately a bad hombre. It has lines. So, you get the manual, which is fantastic. You don't get these anymore. So we've got a pretty minimal but straightforward manual.
As you would have found
in 87. 87 might have given you, so on an 87 you probably would have had a sticker on the front that said something along the lines of, depending on the media it came with, load, space, and then in quotes, star, comma, 8, comma, 1, like if you were loading from the floppy drive, which is how you used to have to play games. But they always would include a sticker to show you how to run them, which was kind of cool. So yeah, that's really cool. Very, very reminiscent. This is awesome. So this is the kind of stuff that that just used to come in these Lucasfilm adventure games that I love, or LucasArts if you're younger, I guess. So here is a town pamphlet, sort of a little ad. It's got ads and advertisements for the little stores that appear in the town. It's a city
placemat.
It's like a placemat. It is a city map that comes into play, but I won't tell you how. However, yeah, beautifully done. Looks very much like a small town, like a little small town placemat you'd find at a small diner or something. So that's fantastic. Coupons for the town.
We saw many of those types in Europe when you go to Salzburg or whatever. They would have those. They'd have the advertisements for hotels, restaurants, coupons, and then a little map of the town. That's awesome.
Yeah. We get a Thimbleweed Park city limits sign sticker. That's fantastic.
80.
Population 80, elevation 14. Comes into the elevation doesn't come into play. The population actually kind of does. It's kind of cool. So that's very awesome. The signals are strong tonight. This is an ongoing line from a couple of characters you meet in the game. Very cool for them to include this. So yeah, definitely that's appreciated if you've played the game. If you haven't played the game, you're probably like, I don't know. You'll find out. It's great. This reminds me so much of old Lucasfilm adventure games. So this is the Nickel News, which is the newspaper of Thimbleweed Park. I cannot wait to read this. I think I've read a few of these headlines in the newspaper building, but fully featured little actual newsprint newspaper. This is fantastic. Back in the old Lucasfilm adventure game days, they used to have the Adventurer, if I remember right, which was a newsprint catalog that was included with the games. The art was by Steve Purcell, who's a friend of Douglas Herring's, by the way.
Oh.
Douglas Herring used to work for Sierra, doing design for like Police Quest and things like that. So that was really cool.
This is actual pulp paper.
It's actual pulp paper. And Douglas Herring, of course, has worked on a bunch of things with the group. He just did a Demon Hunters. Oh, he's doing Chaldea right now too.
Right, and didn't he do Police Story?
Police Quest.
Police Quest.
Yeah, and whatnot. Next we have an official Thimbleweed Park speck of dust, which will make a ton of sense when you play the game. This is hilarious. Oh, that's interesting. Square pixels. So the speck of dust, we have a pack of them, and that's fantastic. Let's see, they are actual Post-it notes.
Post-it notes.
So you can stick them around. Great.
Are there...
I don't think it's got different stuff.
Okay.
No. So this is awesome. A Thimbleweed Park, legitimate Mylar in there. Thimbleweed Park 3.5-inch floppy, disc 2 of 629, which I'm guessing is 100% accurate to the actual size of the game. So that's really funny. This is how my first Monkey Island game came on 3 of these. 3. My Windows 95 install came on about 95 of them, actually. Mm-hmm. So that is just a fantastic addition. That's really cool. And then we get the DVD-ROM, which, again, has that beautiful art on the cover unwrapped, so you can see it all at once, kind of. Same kind of thing. Nice, beautiful screenshots on the back. This is very nostalgic. Let's open this.
A
guy up,
real
too.
jewel case.
I know this is bad because there are all sorts of like little creatures that eat plastic these days. So they're already finding that discs are degrading very, very quickly.
Oh.
But like I said, I'll probably buy another one of these and leave it sealed. I've got a problem. That crinkling was from Mike Ott, if he's watching. Okay, so inside... Oh, this is going to be great. Yeah, I always hate these. Okay, so we've got the DVD with a nice, looks like laser-etched front on it. And, yeah, Fangamer did a great job with this. So, highly recommend checking out their stuff for, well, pretty much anything. And we have this panoramic view here,
Nice.
which includes kind of the opening parts of the game once you're in the game proper. There's a sort of prologue that you play through as well, but this is the actual game. And then the vista from the town where you can overlook.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's really cool. I'm guessing that's it, but let's give it a quick check anyway.
You never know.
You never know. Well, especially with, if, you know, Ron Gilbert, Gary Winnick, or Dave Fox had anything to do with the design, I'm kind of shocked there wasn't some reference in there to like 5858 Lucas Valley Lane or whatever the where Lucas Ranch is. So yeah, this is fantastic. I am extremely happy I picked this up. Very cool indeed. Let's put them back in order here. So we'll get kind of a little family shot. Let's get the knife out of the way again. All right, a Reno. Awoo. All right, so that is what you get in the Thimbleweed Park box from Fangamer.com. Go out. We'll put a link in the description. Check it out. Check out their shirts. Check out the game, please. And if this is how you want to buy it right off the bat, go nuts. If not, I feel like you'll be coming back because it's totally worth it, especially if you're a fan of old Lucasfilm adventure games in general, like I am. I am legitimately a fan, in the true sense of the term, a fanatic. So, fantastically put together box. Thanks to Thimbleweed Park. This is not sponsored, by the way. We're not sponsored on this. This is my own money. But thanks for putting out this great game. Thanks to Fangamer for making an experience that really kind of takes me back.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think could have possibly taken me back more is if I had to go into an Albertsons and pay $5.99 for a little sleeved 5 1/4 to take home and try it out. So thanks a lot. And if you like these unboxings or these little one-off videos that we haven't done a ton of these, but let us know. Let us know on the Discord, discord.twobards.com, or shoot us a comment in the video. We don't read a lot of YouTube comments, but never read the YouTube comments.
No.
Never read the YouTube comments. I'm already afraid because I said it. It's like you bring it to you, you know?
You do.
But yeah, so check in the comments. Hit us up on Discord. If you would like us to do a Let's Play of this, I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We could sort of set the camera up and talk about it. And we'll let Scott play through it since he's never played through one.
I have not.
I think that would be a great thing to do. So thanks, and Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or
Festivus for the rest of us.
Mundane Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Solstice regardless. We all live on a tilt. Especially him.